everyone, I hope you're doing all right today. As you might know, it's IBS Awareness Month at the moment, so I thought it was like the perfect time for me to share with you my IBS story. So it will go from how it all began, all the way through to when I made some very silly mistakes, I guess, that made it a whole lot worse. So I guess it all started back in 2009, which is like 9 years ago now. I just started university. I wasn't very happy, I was really stressed. It wasn't the greatest time in my life, and I started to notice that when I ate things that had gluten in them, like for instance pasta, my stomach wouldn't play ball. It was horrible. It started getting really bloaty and feeling really nasty, and I felt pretty miserable because of it. So yeah, I went to the doctors, I told them my symptoms. They told me to go and do a food diary. I did this, and we both decided that it was best that I removed gluten from my diet, which I did. And it did make me feel lots better. Maybe my taste buds didn't really like it, because I must admit, gluten-free food back then wasn't the best, even 9 years ago. I mean, 9 years ago wasn't even that long ago, but it didn't taste great, but it did make me feel that little bit better. So I went on this massive adventure where I avoided gluten. I say it's an adventure because I had some little stumbling points along the way. I was learning, and I had a few incidents with soy sauce. The worst thing in the world was soy sauce, oh my God. But yeah, on the whole, I did start to feel a little bit better, but I wasn't as I was before. I didn't feel like 100% like I did when I was a kid. I still felt really bloated and not good. And I started to realise that it wasn't just gluten at all. It was vegetables. And I mean, when I found this out, as a kid, I was a fussy eater, right? And I wouldn't eat my vegetables. When I found this out, I was about 18, 19 years old, and I was starting to really get into my vegetables. I was loving vegetables. I knew how healthy they were and how important it was to have your 5 fruit and veg a day. And instead, vegetables were actually making me feel worse. I'll say this, if you're eating, please stop. But when I ate my vegetables, it definitely wasn't the last time that I saw them. I saw them again. And outside of food, I was feeling really stressed still. I had so many incidents over that first year or two, university changes and people just not being that nice to me, to be honest. I've had that, I won't say I've had that loads throughout my life, but I've had my fair few things where I felt like I've been pushed out to the side. People haven't been so nasty that they'd pushed me around and called me horrible names, but I felt like the outsider in a group that I used to be part of. And stuff like that didn't make me feel very happy. I felt miserable. And I think the stress of changing university, the stress of just generally the work I had to do at university, the stress of telling my parents that I didn't enjoy university, and also people just not being the nicest to me, as well as not being close to Mark as well. All those things, I think it just really made my IBS even worse. It wasn't great. My stomach was just gurgling and being evil and nasty, and it was basically just I felt like it was laughing at me. I felt like it was being one of those horrible people that wasn't nice to me and laughing at me as well and being one of them. So yeah, it was all that stress and the food I was eating. It seemed like everything was against me and my stomach. So as time went on, I never seemed to be able to reintroduce any of these foods. They still were absolutely hating my body. But even worse still, more and more foods seemed to be hating on me, and I was finding that I was having to remove this and that and this and that and tons of things from my diet, which was an absolute nightmare. And at this point as well, I started to get a really negative relationship with food, which when I actually talk about this now, I think it kind of makes sense. All these foods start hating on you, you have a negative relationship with food. It goes together in a way. You might have seen a few months ago that I posted a video explaining that I had an eating disorder. Now, this eating disorder was diagnosed as anorexia with binging tendencies, which I won't go into details now, you can watch the video, but basically, as well as starving myself a hell of a lot, I binged excessively on particular foods. When I say that I binged, I literally pushed my stomach not to the limit, but beyond the limit. absolutely insane, ridiculous. It makes me feel strange now even thinking about it. Like, it wasn't just that I would eat excessive amounts of food, like huge volumes, but it was the stuff that I was eating as well. It was really not right and not what your stomach was designed for. And when you think about that, if you're absolutely like just going crazy and doing stuff that the human body wasn't designed to be able to cope with, then your stomach really is going to struggle and deal with it very badly. And to make it even worse, after one of these mammoth binge sessions, I would go to the other end of the spectrum and just completely starve myself for a few days. And as many of you will know, with IBS and just generally everyone's stomach, there needs to be some regularity to it. You're supposed to, you know, with IBS, you're always told, don't skip meals, don't get too hungry, don't get too full. Just make sure that you're eating when you're hungry, you know, making yourself feel okay, not going overboard, not going too much the other way. And I was doing that to the extreme. I was going all this way, then all that way, and then repeating it again and again and again. And I knew that I felt bad. I felt absolutely awful. So yeah, my eating disorder is really what made my stomach just a complete state, a complete mess of, I can't even describe it really. It's when my IBS became incredibly like IBS-c focused, and I just became absolutely, completely unable to go to the toilet. And I know that many of you with IBS-c can completely relate to this, and for others, just think about this. Never being able to go to the toilet, eating all the food in the world and not being able to go to the toilet. I mean, like I would, as I said, I would binge and binge and binge and binge and binge, and then I wouldn't be able to go to the toilet, which was awful. And then even beyond this point where I'd stopped all these really, really terrible eating disorder like issues, and I was trying to get myself better, trying my best to recover, even then I was left with like the inability to go to the toilet. All those things, like my eating disorder, had provided me with a wealth of problems, and one of them, probably the worst one, was that it just made my IBS go so far in the sky worse, like so bad. I can't even describe how bad it made it. An example of something that I used to binge on quite regularly and in quite formidable amounts was sugar. Now, I'm talking bags of sugar, bags of brown sugar, bags of caster sugar, bags of icing sugar. I just used to literally eat them with a spoon, with my hands, whatever I could like get my hands on, I would just go for it. And ever since then, I have struggled so much with sugar. I can't eat sugary things, whether that be fruits, whether that be cakes, all of this stuff, I really struggle with. I'm getting it back slightly in really tiny amounts, but the amount that I can eat is absolutely ridiculous. And I know it must have been these awful eating disorder behaviours that made it happen, because prior to that, I was eating, you know, not loads of sugary stuff, but I was able to go out with a friend and get a little bit of cake or have a glass of fruit juice. Any of these things, you know, I was able to just eat an apple. I was able to do all these things. Suddenly, I decide that eating a kilogram bag of sugar for absolutely no reason, getting absolutely no pleasure out of it, was a good thing to do. And then I just made my body absolutely despise the stuff. And now to this day, many years later, I cannot tolerate sugar. And here I am, many years down that IBS line, down that IBS journey, and I'm still here to tell the tale, but the list of foods that I can't eat compared to, well, 2008, I could eat everything. 2009, I thought it was just gluten. Now that list of foods that I can't eat, I truly believe it is longer than the list of foods that I can eat. There is so many, and I feel like, in a way, it is ever expanding. It still is expanding. It's you know, I find new things every day. I find that, I don't know if this is something that you find with your IBS, but for me, one day I can eat something, the following day I can't, and then, you know, I feel like I can eat it, and then 2 days later, oh no, I can't again. It's an absolute mess. It's so weird, so strange. But the most important thing is that I'm here. I might be affected physically. I'm affected physically every single day of my life because it hurts. It makes me feel tired. It makes me feel just rubbish. I'm affected mentally because it is incredibly draining and it makes you sad. It does make you sad. If it doesn't make you sad, then I am so proud of you as someone who suffers from IBS, because I would love to know how you can get through life without feeling sad just sometimes, because it does make you feel down. But yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here to tell my tale. And I think one of the most important things that has helped me get to this point is actually you guys. Now, obviously my friends and family around me have been super amazing, and I'm really grateful that they understand stuff, but it's taken time. And you guys, right from that word go, have been there supporting me, making me feel completely like not alone, and helping me, giving me advice, giving me ideas. I've learned loads of stuff, like literally loads of stuff. I've always been going on about the peppermint tea thing, but you guys have given me loads of different ideas and just given me those like positive messages that you need sometimes to get you through the day. And I hope that these videos, and when I reply to your comments as well, that I have been able to give something back to you, so that, you know, you're still here, you're still watching this right now. You might have IBS, you might be sitting there with a hot water bottle. I get loads of messages from you guys saying that, you know, you're watching this whilst you're under a blanket feeling like absolute crap. But, you know, at least you're here, and I hope I can be of help, and I hope just hearing my IBS story has helped you. I feel like this might show that everyone's IBS story is very different. You might think that, you know, we're all the same, but we're really not. Like, I'd imagine there's many of you who haven't potentially gone through an eating disorder, but might have gone through something completely different that brought it on. You know, there's so many different things. It's actually ridiculous. So never for 1 minute when you're talking to someone who might have IBS and says, oh, mine came about through this way, and then you think, well, mine didn't. Mine's, maybe I don't have it. I don't know. Just always remember that we are all individual people, like as humans in this world, and also our IBS is always different and never the same. And I guess, to be honest, that's why there's no cure to it, because it's all so different. There'd have to be a cure to every single different person's IBS in this world. But yeah, I am going off on a tangent here. I just hope that this has helped, and I would love to know if any of you would like to share your IBS stories with me and the rest of the people watching this video. Leave comments below. Obviously, a comment, you know, you're not going to write a massive essay, but please feel free to if you want to. But, you know, you can message me privately on social media, do whatever you feel is best. If you just want to spew it all out and tell me what your IBS story is, then I'm here to listen. I will always read it. I'm always here to chat. But yeah, I really hope that you've enjoyed this video in some way. I guess I don't hope that you enjoyed it listening to me talk about how pained I have been and everything, but the fact that I'm here is good enough, I guess. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you fancy, and like this video, obviously, and I'll see you very soon for more IBS stuff and more me.